The Broncos could be making a big move that would land them a star running back. This is your Denver Sports Daily for June 5th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Tom Pelissero announced on Twitter yesterday that the Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins is visiting with the Broncos tonight. He's going to be having dinner with some of the front office, including Sean Payton, and then doing some, training exercises, getting in the Broncos facility and kind of testing out what the fit would look like. Now, bringing in somebody like J.K. Dobbins would be nothing less than huge. A huge, huge move for Denver. It would be best case scenario in terms of running backs this offseason. Last season, Dobbins recorded over 1,000 scrimmage yards and 9 touchdowns. And in his career, he averages over 5 yards a carry. That's insane. 5 yards a carry on 400 plus carries, something like that. You're averaging over 5 throughout your career. That's an immediate profit booster to the Broncos. I mean, having a consistent back who can rush, and even if he's not in his prime anymore, sure, let's say he's not rushing for 5 yards a carry this season. Last year, I think he rushed for something like 4.6. You could get 4.3 yards per carry this year. That's a staying ahead of schedule. That is right where you want to be. That's a first down every 3 downs played, and playing that kind of football wins you games. Call me old-fashioned, but you get 4 yards a carry every single time, you win a football game. And it's as basic as that. It's as basic as that. You get 4 yards a carry, you win a football game. And J.K. Dobbins does that. But the main thing holding the Broncos back from jumping on this decision right away is Dobbins' physical. He needs to have a solid physical comeback. Nothing's got to be bad. Everything has to be in tip-top shape. And injuries have held him back from succeeding in the past years. And again, that physical will need to come back perfectly if he has any chance of coming to this team. Now, the Broncos have obviously made the running back position a prime target this offseason, drafting RJ Harvey in the second round and now taking a meeting with one of the best running backs in the AFC West. If Dobbins' physical comes back clear, which hopefully it will, it looks like it may, I'd be willing to bet that he's the starting running back in week 1. And that would be honestly best case scenario for the Broncos. If they can bring Dobbins in, give RJ Harvey some time behind Dobbins, don't have him be the starting running back. Don't have him be the third down running back, whatever. Dobbins is the RB1 if he comes to this team. Look at the lineup for the Broncos then. Look at that first team on offense right there. You go through each position, the Broncos could have a top 5 team roster in the entire league. This would be the biggest move of the offseason, arguably. Sure, they got Hufanga and Greenlaw. Sure, they got Jahdae Barron in the draft. But if they get Dobbins, a real RB1, to come in from how terrible the running back game was last year, if they can get Dobbins in at RB1, this team is going very deep in the playoffs. I promise you that. Now, moving on, the Avs extended Brock Nelson for 3 years, putting an end to their issues at second line center. Huge, huge news getting Brock Nelson to come in and stay for 3 more years, a big extension. Now, the second line center has obviously been an issue for the Avs since they lost Naz Kadri, but they nullified that problem for this season at least by acquiring Brock Nelson. He came in, played a few games, and that issue was gone. Their second line center issue was totally eradicated. The Nelson trade was basically a rental, though. The Avs jumped on the opportunity to win a cup this year by trading away their top prospect in Cal Ritchie for somebody like Brock Nelson, who's going to come in for, the second half, the ending of the season, and then into the playoffs. Now, there was a bit of worry heading into the offseason, knowing that the Avs didn't get past the round 1. They lost in game 7. Is Nelson going to leave? That was the worry around this front office, that he wouldn't stay with the team. That would put the Avs in a terrible position. Now, given my last point of them trading away their top prospect in Cal Ritchie, if they lost Cal Ritchie and the guy that they traded him away for in the span of a couple months, that just, again, you're watching your Stanley Cup window close right in front of your eyes. But luckily, the Avs bought themselves some more time. They kept that window open as they reached an agreement to extend Nelson for 3 more years. Yesterday it was announced that Nelson and the Avs had come to terms on a 3-year, $22.5 million contract. Nelson came in and made an impact on this team. It was important to get him. In just 19 games in the regular season, he recorded 13 points. And that was after a very slow start in the beginning couple games for Nelson. And then in the playoffs, he brought that same energy. recording 4 assists in the 7-game series against the Stars. And while he was on the ice in that series, he was +2. And in the regular season, he was +6 when on the ice. You could see the clear impact that Brock Nelson brought to this team. It was very apparent. And people were somewhat worried when he first came to the team, but give him some time, and he went out there and he made a statement. He showed why he deserves to be on this team. He showed why he was valued so highly. And now extending him could be the most important thing the Avs do this offseason. You know, retaining players that you traded for should be one of the biggest priorities. And not only traded for, but you traded one of your top prospects away midway through the season when you're hoping to extend your Stanley Cup window. And they did. That's what they did. They extended their Stanley Cup window. They kept it open for a little bit longer. And now they've kept it open for much longer, 3 years at least. Now, the other things that the Avs are going to have to do is obviously navigate what a tough offseason this is going to be anyways. Now, there's a lot of players that are free agents this year that you're going to need to pay some money for. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. But Brock Nelson, first and foremost, was one of the biggest priorities. And they went out, they made that their main priority, and they got him to stay for at least 3 more years. Now, moving on, the Rockies are hot, H-O-T. They swept a series for the first time in over a year, and hot is a funny word, but in this case, it just feels right, because saying hot when you're talking about the Rockies, it feels like a double. Like you can't do it. You can't say hot and Rockies in the same sentence. Now, the Rockies are obviously historically bad, one of the worst teams in MLB history, and I could go on that tangent, but they looked great against the Miami Marlins for the first time since May 2024, that is, last year. The Rockies have swept a series. 3 straight games seemed like an impossible task for the Rockies team, but somehow, some way, they took the Marlins down 1-1. Kyle Freeland got on the board with his first win of the 2025 season. Who cares that we're 60-plus games in? First win of the season. Now, the Rockies advanced to 12-50, and after winning 3 in a row, they have now matched the amount of wins they've had in the previous 28 outings before this series. You win 3, great. You did what you were supposed to. You won 3. You swept the series. That happens to multiple times to every other team in the league. It's happening 60 games in. Hey, I'm not going to get too down on them. It's something to celebrate. They swept the series. First time in over a year. Great job to the Rockies. Huge series. But is anything actually going to get better? I mean, you swept the Marlins. And in terms of everything, the Marlins aren't a good team either. You went out there and you beat another bad team. There are still changes that need to be made. This is still one of the worst teams in history. I mean, we're talking about a team that was 9-50 just a couple days ago. They were 9-50. And sure, now because they're 12-50, it's all better. No, it's not better. It's not better at all. And all that this makes me do is feel terribly bad for Marlins fans. I mean, how do you get swept by the Rockies? You get swept by the Rockies. Losing 1 to the Rockies is bad enough. You got swept? I would hate to be a Marlins fan right now. But that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. You know, there's more stuff coming with this J.K. Dobbins stuff. I really, really do believe that if they can sign him, if his physical comes back spotless, he is the RB1 for the Broncos this season. And it would be incredibly, incredibly great for him to be that for us. It would be insane. But that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.